now. And yes, it is recording. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for being here today. I am Anderson Brito. I am one of the co-chairs of the Yale Postdoctoral Association. And today we have here guests from the Yale Police Department, which will provide us a public safety briefing in a couple of minutes. And at the end, we are going to have a moment for questions. I have a couple of questions here already. And before we start, I would just like to explain the motivation for such event. So in reaction to the death of Kevin Young in last February, some postdocs members of our association reached out to us individually, expressing their safety concerns related to public safety, and the YPA decided to host a short meeting with some of those that expressed concerns, and basically to discuss their major safety issues. And after that meeting, we decided to launch a survey that was directed to all of our members in last March, basically to hear more from them about safety concerns, and also questions. They sent us questions as well. And one of the questions that we raised to our members were about their interest to hear from you this public safety briefing. And today we have here representatives of the YPD, Chief Higgins, Daniel, William, and George. They also represent the distinct verticals of the YPD. And I guess we can get started. I'm not sure who is going to talk first. Chief Higgins, I'm making you a co-host in case you need to share your screen. You are muted.
Story of my life, I've been muted. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us. We do have a presentation we'd like to show or use to guide our discussion this afternoon. So very shortly, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. First and foremost, I want to just thank everyone for being here, and I want to thank the members of the Yale Public Safety team who are here. I will begin this afternoon's presentation, and then you will hear from Captain Von Narcisse, who's joined us. Hey, Cap. You will also hear from Dan Killen, our Assistant Director of Security, George Hines, our Director of Emergency Management, and Mr. William Goldbach, who heads our Systems and Services organization within public safety, and he'll share with you about what Systems and Services does. It is important to note that the Yale Police Department is one vertical within the public safety ecosystem here at Yale University. There are actually 4 verticals within public safety: the police, Yale Security, Yale's Public Safety Systems and Services, and our Office of Emergency Management. All of the different units, all the 4 units work together and are supported by our Office of Compliance and Administration, and we interface with one another to provide a safe campus for members to live, learn, and work. We are not just the Yale Public Safety for one subset of this community or our shared community. For those who live on campus or within the campus geography, we're partners with the New Haven Police. Those who are studying here, doing research, and those who work here as well. I want to share with you, and we've been sharing with many over the last several weeks, about our key priorities within public safety, because many ask, Chief, what are your key priorities? And over the last year and a half, we have done a tremendous amount of reflection and research and just looking within to see where we are and how better we can provide services to our community. And as you heard me talk about this ecosystem, we thought about how best we could be utilizing public safety resources to address public safety needs. One of the most visible ways or changes, if I can call it that, that many will begin to see or already have seen in the fall and the spring, and we'll see even more of in this fall, is how we're using our security officers. We believe in leveraging the right resources to address public safety needs. This means, in short, taking police officers out of situations that don't necessarily require the police. For example, in higher education, not just at Yale University, but in polling many of our colleagues throughout the country. In many instances, police officers are utilized to respond to noise complaints inside of a residential dorm, or here at Yale, a residential college. We're getting away from that. We have a very highly skilled, a very well-trained security department that is unarmed, that understand de-escalation, that are trained in cultural empathy, and are known to our residential colleges and many of our professional schools. So why not utilize them for low-level matters that don't necessarily require a police officer? We're leveraging them as a resource within public safety more than ever before. We're engaging our community. This, in and of itself, utilizing Zoom to meet you where you are, listening to every voice, even the most critical, understanding that there are times which we will and we should take our bath in public opinion. But even the most critical voices can push us to do the best and be the best that we can be. Strengthening this public safety ecosystem as an infrastructure, understanding that we exist in a much greater community here at Yale of different services, facilities, dining, transportation. I mean, it is vast. How do we strengthen this ecosystem to better align with the university enterprise? For example, university IT. Many of the public safety systems that here in Yale Public Safety are supported by Yale IT, but now even more so than ever, we're collaborating them on best promising and emerging practices to make certain that before we think of different things we can buy or purchase, that we're maximizing the use of existing systems. We're really fortunate here at Yale to have some of the best systems in utilizing the subject matter expertise at Yale IT. We're maximizing the use of our existing systems. And last but not least, with all that we're doing, with all that we've been working on, we have to continuously be mindful of continuous improvement. Although we may have made some strides and been successful in some areas, we always have to evaluate ourselves and hear from our community and talk about how best we can, be leveraging our resources and working with one another and with others. So we're embracing continuous improvement. Now, when Anderson opened up this discussion, he shared with this group about the impetus of this talk, and it began with the unfortunate killing of Kevin this past winter that rocked this community, it rocked our organization. I want to share with you all that was a tough time for this community, as you know, but I want to say to you that the Yale Police Department worked side by side with the New Haven Police Department detectives in making certain that justice was served. That's the police department that is here at Yale. We partner with agencies both in New Haven and on the federal level to make certain that not only is the campus safe, but at the same time, you have all the resources necessary to have a safe campus. So, as I said before, I'm joined by several colleagues, and Captain Von Narcisse oversees our patrol division. Captain Narcisse has been with us for a number of years. He's got a great story, but I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about the Yale Police Patrol Division for a little bit.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you everyone for having us and for having me have a chance to speak with you. In the interest of time, when I am finished, if there's any information that anyone wants to go deeper on, I will leave my phone number and email in the chat room so that I can be easily contacted. As the Chief said, he said a lot of things, but one of the things that he said that sticks out with me is the continuous improvement piece, because that's something we constantly are working on here, and that does not happen in a vacuum. That happens with our community. And so with that, as we're constantly reviewing ourselves, we always want to figure out where can we get better and how can we do that to better impact what we need to do. So just briefly, I am in charge of our patrol division, which is the uniformed division. That's the most visible part of any police department. I report up to Assistant Chief Campbell, who sends his regards. He's unable to be here today. We work with partners inside of our own department, such as our investigative services unit, our sensitive crimes coordinator, which is something that was a continuous improvement model that the chief initiated a while ago. And we also do dignitary protection as well. I want to touch on a couple of specialized units that you may or may not be familiar with that are unique. And one of them is the only one to occur in the Ivy League at this time, although we are being benchmarked for that. But we do have two different K-9 teams. One of them is an emergency services unit where they focus on threats such as explosive threats or suspicious packages to our community or the nearby surrounding community. That's a very busy and active unit. We also have a new unit. It's a comfort therapy dog. You may or may not have seen Heidi with her handler, Officer Richard Simons. That is an innovative approach that has been extremely effective so far. Hopefully you'll get a chance to meet Heidi. Heidi's available upon request, and we can give you more information on that as well. But she's a beautiful Labrador, and she basically goes around and just tries to make people smile and happy, especially if they're having a tough time. And, you know, those are things that we don't miss with regard to the potential for people needing sometimes, you know, just a chance to smile or be comforted a little bit. And a dog has been a valuable asset with regard to that. With regard to our partnerships and responses, as the chief already alluded to, we partner with everybody, not just policing and enforcement type of agencies, but business partners, local communities. This is part of our community engagement. And as I mentioned that, I want to touch on how that is also a priority for us here at Yale PD. We do have specific officers that are assigned to basically community engage, and they may reach out to you or your agencies or departments nearby on occasion to see how they can further that effort. They do a lot, too much to even speak about right now, but they engage at all levels, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. With regard to the two officers that do that, it was something that they competed for and against the other peers here in the police department, and they were able to be selected, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So lastly, I just want to touch base on what we call this differential model and differential thinking as it comes to policing. And this is something that our department has been ahead of and is honing it to get it exactly how we need it for our community. But it's the concept of doing things, as the chief said, differently, to where if a police officer is needed, what's the best way for that officer to engage into that particular environment? And one of the things I want to touch briefly on is our critical incident response. Critical incident response at Yale is morphing into a situation where our officers will be responding, but they won't be in a traditional police uniform. And we found, and there are studies to back this up, that just the mere presence of a uniform in certain situations actually heightens the event. It actually raises and escalates energy at the event, and having a non-traditional response, such as a uniform switch or a downgraded uniform, definitely can de-escalate a situation. And a lot of times when we go to a situation, that is our absolute goal, is to try to de-escalate that situation so we can communicate, figure out what is needed, and then get those services going. And so we have a critical incident team that, even though everyone on our department is able to do that particular function, it's a different type of delivery when you do it from a plainclothes perspective. And so that is something that is unique. Not every department in the country is doing that, but we are, and we are not afraid to, take leaps to do what we need to do to get our community and make sure that they're safer. So I do need to turn over the session of the agenda to security, which I will do in a second, but I just want to talk really briefly on some safety tips. So just one of the things that we harp about all the time is just your situational awareness and knowing that our primary function is to do everything that we can to keep you safe. So that means we learn from you. If you have something that you observe that you're not sure about, you can call our department. We will triage it and figure out what the right resources are. If it's something that we need to strengthen, we will do that. But your situational awareness is critical, which means, paying attention to your surroundings, trying to walk with numbers if you can, or run with numbers, as opposed to being alone, going into well-lit paths as opposed to dark ones that might be faster, but a little bit, maybe adding an extra element of danger that's avoidable, things of that nature. So if you want to talk further about any of that, please feel free to reach out to me. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I will happily turn the portion of the agenda back over to Dan Killen, who I believe I saw on the Zoom. And thank you for sending me the link, sir. I appreciate that.
Captain, thank you. Thank you all for having us. My name is Danny Killen. I am the Associate Director of Security here at the university, and I'm standing in for Dwayne Lavello, who is the Security Director. Unfortunately, got called away, but I appreciate you all attending and inviting us. So Yale Security is a non-sworn entity here at the university. There's approximately 120 uniformed officers that patrol the campus 24/7. We wear high visible uniforms, white uniforms with reflective Yale Security on the back. We are unarmed. We have no powers of arrest or detention, and we don't investigate crimes. That's the difference between Yale Security and Yale Police. We're unarmed. We don't investigate crimes, and we don't have any powers of arrest. We do patrol the campus, as I said, 24/7. We do it on foot, bicycle, car, three-wheeled segways. We do have fixed posts, and we do have external and moving around posts or patrol posts. We provide a whole host of services. We consider ourselves the eyes and ears of the police department. So while we don't have powers of arrest, we do try and act as a deterrent, be highly visible in the community. And we provide services to keep the community safe. Those include lockout services, which is, you lock your key in your room. Unfortunately, you can call us. It's a free service. We go and we'll unlock the door. We don't carry keys with us. It might take a little bit for us to go get the master keys to open the door. But if you do, erroneously lock your key in your office, we can come do it. You just have to provide your net ID and some form of identification. That is a quite popular service. We do over 10,000 lockouts a year. So unfortunately, a lot of students forget their keys. We do walking escorts. You can call and get an escort. A security officer will walk you from point A to point B on the campus. We do stick to the campus footprint, so we're visible on the campus, but you can call our central alarm station, ask for a security officer, and they'll dispatch the closest security officers to walk and meet you and walk you to where you need to go. Again, no appointments are necessary. You just do have to build in some time for us to get where we are to where you are. We do external and internal checks of buildings, and we do have officers stationed at the residential college from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the morning. Yale Security also has a central alarm station. It's our dispatch center. That is also staffed 24/7. They monitor the radios for our security officers and for the police department, and they're in constant communication with police dispatchers. They also monitor and check the cameras on campus. There's approximately 3,000 camera views on campus. And there's about 6,000 access control points, which could be door swipes, use your card to get into a door, or alarms throughout campus. They do monitor those as well. Another safety feature that the university uses is blue phones. They're called blue phones because they have the blue light above them. There's approximately 540 throughout campus. They do have a box underneath with, most of them have a red plunger. If you hit the red plunger, it goes directly to Yale Police Department. Some of them are equipped with a keypad that you can dial any of the internal 5-digit Yale numbers. If there's a keypad in there, you dial the last 5 digits of the Yale number and you can work like a regular telephone. The university does have a robust transit system that we encourage people to use when they can on the fixed shuttles. And the safety awareness tips, as the captain did allude to, is we encourage you all to walk in groups and utilize the services that Yale has at your avail if and when you feel you need them. Thank you. I will, is Billy Gobach next, I believe?
Actually, no, we're going to turn it over to George Hines, Office of Emergency Management. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for having me as well. I'm the director of the Office of Emergency Management. We are that fourth vertical that the chief had spoken about, and just give you a little bit of an update as to what we do and what our responsibilities are. So one of the key factors is business continuity planning, which really just helps departments and organizations maintain essential functions after a disaster or a disruption. You know, we've had a very large disruption this past 16 months, which was COVID. And with plans in place, we were able to have people work from home. We were able to quickly adjust, although may not have been as smoothly. Who would have thought we would have been 16 months of COVID really pushing our buttons, but we try to return to normal operations. You know, a more common thing would be if you had a flood in a building, you know, how could we, you know, move personnel or classrooms to another place so that we can resume class and or business operations. So the business continuity planning is something that we do for the university and folks within the organizations amongst the university. One of the other things that we do is emergency management preparedness training. And this is a class that we actually started to run through online because of COVID. And that class is what we call basically Preparedness 101. And it not only teaches you how to be prepared for emergencies here at the university, but it also teaches you how to be prepared at home. If you remember back when we were in COVID and a lot of people were at home in August, we had a high wind tornado type situation where people actually lost power at home and weren't prepared for that. And they were leaning on the university to figure out ways to continue to work while not having power for 3 to 4 days. So we talk a lot about preparedness in that training, and all of this information that I'm talking to you about today, you can find on our website, and our website's pretty robust. It's emergency.yale.edu. So, you know, what I cover briefly here will be covered in detail on our webpage, and you can always reach out to me or one of my teammates here. Emergency response planning is a third piece to this. Emergency response planning, we come out to departments, buildings and organizations and talk about emergency procedures within your facilities, whether it be residential colleges, whether it be an office, a business office or administration office. During that, we talk about just some basic things about, you know, where to shelter in place if you needed to, where to evacuate the buildings. Also just understanding surroundings within your building, as well as understanding what an AED is, which is a automatic defibrillator, where extinguishers might be and things of that nature. So we really kind of lay out a very basic plan for emergency response planning and give that information out to the group that is within that facility. Special events planning. Our biggest special event just happened in May, which is commencement, but we also focus on all special events that take place on campus whether it be a football game versus Harvard, or a meeting for students and employees such as spring fling, things of that nature. We are heavily involved in the special events training to ensure that we keep the campus safe and have plans in place ahead of time. We work very closely with the state, with the city of New Haven, and all of our community members around to ensure that we have a safe event, no matter what that event will be. One of the things that we use as our motto is really to talk about planning, evaluating, and responding. So everything that I just talked about has that element in it. You plan for something, you evaluate how it's going to work or how you're going to deal with the situation that's in front of you, and then you respond to it. So as you kind of think through any type of planning or events that you have, those are the three things that we bring to everybody's attention. One other thing that we're very proud of is our emergency operations team. We're a powerful unit of 4 full-time employees, but we have over 70 folks that are involved from different facets of the university. Those folks attend monthly meetings for training, and for the last 16 months have at least been on calls every week, once a week. Starting out was 5 days a week during COVID, and really took an active role in understanding how we were going to handle the COVID events as they were taking place and bringing them back to their departments so that everybody was communicated to. That's just an example of something the emergency operations team does. So that for us has been just a very huge success story. And we really appreciate the fact that those folks take the time to volunteer and come out and work on that information. So one of the big things is our Yale Alert. Everybody should be familiar with Yale Alert, but our department is responsible for communicating out those emergencies. They should come through on your phone, through text, possibly through a phone call and email. If you have a Yale email address, that will automatically be put into the system. You can go through your own, you can go through Banner if you're a student, and if you're an employee, you can go through Workday and put in your personal information. So you can use a personal email, a personal cell phone, and we can communicate through a system called Everbridge, which is what we use for Yale Alert across the board. There are 43,000 folks on that list, and our communications come out when there's an emergency. So that's another piece to the puzzle. We also have a contact card called Bulldog Mobile Contact Card. That can be put onto your phone. It actually carries Yale Police, Yale security numbers, the different areas of the university that are important numbers to have. And that can be put on through an app, through a text, which would be the word Yale Safe, all one word. And the number is 505-544-4999. And then you'll get a response from that number, and you can just add the card to your contacts, and it will have all of those numbers in one place. Again, all of that information can be shared or is shared with you on our OEM webpage, which is emergency.yale.edu. So at this point, I think I'm turning this over to Billy Goldbeck from Yale Security Systems.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is William Goldbeck. I'm the Assistant Director of Public Safety Systems and Services. So for systems and services, the big three are access control, the video management system, and the intrusion alarm systems. We have a team of 6 that handle requests for access to our 6,600 plus readers across campus. And they're pretty busy, day to day, and you can reach them at 432.open. Video management system, as Danny said, we have about 3,400 camera streams that we monitor through the central alarm station. And our intrusion alarm systems, this is the oldest electronic security system on campus. This is what started it all before we added video and access control. All of these systems, along with our intercom systems and fire alarm systems, report back to the central alarm station. And they are manned 24/7, 365 by Dwayne and Danny's team. And again, this is where all the electronic systems report back to. We have 2 ID centers on campus. Currently, only 57 lock is open, and that's by appointment only. The medical school is tentatively scheduled to reopen on August 1st with the return to staff led by the university. Can we please move to the next slide?
Absolutely.
Okay, so some of the safety resources, Danny did touch on about blue phones, but I'll probably go into a little bit as well. But LiveSafe, if you do not have LiveSafe, I strongly encourage everyone to download LiveSafe onto your phone. Go to the App Store, scroll down, look for Yale University, and it's pretty step-by-step to install. It's an app that allows the Yale community to communicate with the police using a mobile device. There's anonymous tips. You don't have to be anonymous to report tips. Safe Walk, which is a peer-to-peer feature. You can invite somebody to watch you walk from your one location to the next. Again, there's a card on there that you can request a walking escort from a security officer. Another card, emergency options, takes you directly to 911 and YPD. There's an additional card on there for campus shuttles. So in the colder months, you can actually watch these. They're real time, and you could stay inside till a couple minutes right before it arrives at the stop you're stationed at. And one of our newer cards is requesting a visit from Heidi the service dog. This one's really taken off in the past couple months. And again, that's just through one push of a card button on the LiveSafe app. We also love to hear feedback and suggestions, so how we can improve LiveSafe. So please keep those coming. One of the resources within LiveSafe is a safety map that shows the location of all the blue phones, along with the AEDs and the COVID test sites. Like Danny did say, there are 545 right now, so blue phones. And if you come here at night, you can see the blue lights across the city. For the most part, when you're standing at one blue light, you can see another blue light. Again, a red emergency button for direct connection. Some of them also have a keypad on there where you have the ability to dial any campus number. Blue phones, it's an extra layer of security for the campus. So Blue Phone and LiveSafe teamed up together. We have pretty good coverage. And another resource is safety orientation safety talks. So you can request someone to come out to your department and talk about LiveSafe, or about security, or about Yale policing. So please do not hesitate, if that's what your department's looking for, to reach out and let us know what we can do for you. I will be putting my information. So any questions regarding LiveSafe, the ID centers, access control, you can reach out to me, and I'll get it answered or taken care of for you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill. And so Anderson, before we turn it back over to you, I just want to give members an opportunity to look at our list of safety tips that is also on our website as well. We can send it to you if you prefer.
Do you have a link for these safety tips?
Yeah, Cap, if you don't mind, could you put the link in the chat, please?
Then we can make sure that this information goes through our members.
So I will stop our screen share, and Anderson, I want to turn it back over to you, because it is our intention to provide an overview of the public safety services that we provide, and now to hear from perhaps some of the members, and with our team here to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for explaining how the YPD is divided, because definitely there are members in our community and at Yale that doesn't know exactly how the YPD works, and what are its attributions and what are not its attributions, because I guess there must be lots of, let's say, confusion between what the YPD does and what the New Haven Police Department does. And I guess there must be some sort of overlap. And that leads to my first question, like what actions the New Haven Police Department can take that the Yale Police Department cannot?
Well, I don't, wow, I don't know that it's answered that easily. I think that question is best answered by talking about the two organizations. Okay, so the New Haven Police Department is the primary law enforcement organization for the city of New Haven. The Yale Police Department, much like many campuses in our nation, is paid for and employ its own police officers in their police department as well. The Yale police officers share the same sort of authority as New Haven police officers. The area of coverage that the Yale police officers patrol or are responsive to is really dictated by the Yale footprint and maybe a little beyond. We don't patrol or provide police services, better stated, in the entire city. We provide police services for our shared community, okay, around Yale, in and around Yale University. And the City of New Haven Police provide policing services throughout the city. We work very closely with the New Haven Police Department. There is overlap. We are partners in that, you know, the New Haven Police Department right now is having higher than normal calls for service regarding shots fired, gunshots being fired in the city. The homicide rate is up to about 15 or 16 now. So it's a problem for the city of New Haven. We have lent the New Haven police officers a couple of investigators to assist in focusing on this, so we're a part of this effort. There are also other initiatives from time to time that we partner together, okay, with the New Haven Police Department on as well. So I hope that provides some clarification or provides some with an understanding of the Yale Police Department and the New Haven PD.
Yeah, that definitely helps us understand, because one of the questions that were raised by the respondents of the survey was basically about their sense of not being safe in their neighborhoods, in their residential areas. And based on what you've mentioned, that is not within the scope of the Yale Police to operate in those areas, right? For example, if they report some armed robberies in that area, like in East Rock, that is not a location where the Yale Police could operate, right? They were.
Well, the area that the Yale Police Department agrees to patrol with the city, part of it is not the East Rock neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The East Rock neighborhood is patrolled by the New Haven Police Department.
Okay. That explains, yeah. And many of our postdocs, they may have to work too late because they do experiments that run overnight, and they may have to leave the lab at 3 a.m., for example. And many of the respondents of our survey, they reported the fact that they don't feel safe, for example, walking in New Haven, especially in downtown. And based on what was shared with us a couple of minutes ago about the escorting service or the safe walk. Would that be a solution? Does this service operate late at night, for example? And how our members can request such service?
Dan, can you take that?
Yes, to use it, we operate 24/7. We do have officers on the overnight shift, which is when you're talking 3 in the morning. But again, we do stay within the Yale footprint. So if they're parking in a Yale lot, we'll walk them from the building to the Yale lot. If they're going to a Yale shuttle bus, we'll walk them from there to the Yale shuttle bus or stand with them outside while they're waiting for a ride. Unfortunately, we don't go off the Yale footprint because then that just spreads our resources off campus and leaves us vulnerable on campus. And you could call 203-785-5555, which is our central alarm station. From an internal number, it's just 5 digits. So 55555. And ask for an escort, and you'll get a dispatcher, a person at the central alarm station, and they'll send the closest officer. They'll call them on the radio and say, this is where the person is, meet them there, and then walk you to wherever you want to go. And that's 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to remember the number, you can just go on the LiveSafe app and there's a card right there. It says walking escort.
That's a good point. I was about to ask that. So members can use the LiveSafe app to request these escorting service. Okay, and let's assume that the postdoc works at the School of Medicine and lives within the area of the campus, but close by to, let's say, East Rock. Would this escort service be applicable to this situation of like walking the person from the School of Medicine all the way to like close to East Rock, for example?
So again, as long as it's the Yale footprint, the starting point and the ending point, we will walk you if that's the option. Now, we might hand you off from one security officer to another security officer. We'll walk from the boundaries of where one security officer is, because we try and keep our officers within their boundaries. So again, as I said before, they're highly visible. But yes, we will. It might not be the most efficient use. It might be easier to take the transit system. But by all means, if somebody wants to walk, we'll walk with them. We're out there walking anyway, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, by all means.
One other question relates to robberies, especially related to bicycles and cars as well. The question is where and at what time most of the robberies have been occurring within the campus area, and what measures our members of our community can take to prevent such actions, for example?
Well, first, let me say that crime can happen anywhere, and the city of New Haven has had its challenges, but many, including myself, will argue that New Haven is a vibrant city. There's a lot to do, and we have found that the more you can experience New Haven and its neighborhoods, the better off your experience at Yale will be. So having said that, though, New Haven has had its challenges, and we track crime trends. In my experience, I have found that predominantly at night, robberies do occur at night. Unfortunately, many of the robberies that we've seen lately have involved the theft of a phone or people asking for money, and it escalates into a robbery. Have we had armed robberies in the past? Yes, we have. Not many, but I would say the majority of them are probably intimidation or assaults. So where do they happen? I can't really say right now where they're happening. Fortunately, we're in a downward trend. Our visibility between our police officers and our security officers in being out there to prevent them from happening. The lighting, okay, identifying individuals who are responsible for them and making sure that they're not out there doing it. Those are some of the things that we're doing to prevent the robberies from happening in the first place. Because that is the job, to prevent the robberies from happening. But you know, from time to time there are trends. Right now, fortunately, we're not in a situation where we're seeing a lot of robberies. So that's kind of a difficult question to answer, Britta.
Thank you.
Yeah. If I could though, from time to time, I will communicate with the community via a public safety update. That's an email that comes directly from me, and I will say we're seeing an increase in robberies in certain areas at certain times, and we will provide members with information that we believe is important so that they keep themselves safe.
Yeah, that will be quite helpful, like these statistics about locations and times where such actions may be happening, because this may lead to another question related to the Yale alerts. A few of the respondents of the survey expressed that he or she feel anxiety when they receive those alerts, especially because they only read that hours after that event happened, which means they may not benefit from that information anymore because the event is now in the past, but they still feel anxious by knowing the details about the crime. And I was wondering, for example, is it possible to unsubscribe from such service, or that is something compulsory? And the second question is, how do you think that these live alerts have been helping the YPD to operate?
Well, so oftentimes I hear from community members, and there's two primary ways that we communicate. One is a timely warning, wherein, for instance, we just talked about robberies. If a robbery occurs within the Yale area, then we send out a timely warning via email that lets community members know what happened, where it happened. We provide whatever information we can, and we provide information about safety tips to the community. That's required by the Department of Education. Every campus in the United States is required to send out a timely warning after one of the crimes that falls within that category occur. Now, the Yale alerts, that's more immediate. We send out a Yale alert most often via text message. Sometimes your phone will ring. Sometimes you'll get an email as well. Whenever something it's important that we communicate with you immediately. So, for instance, you've probably received a few Yale alerts regarding gunshots being fired in a particular area of campus. It is important that we communicate to our members quickly and efficiently, phone, text, and email, so that they have the situational awareness. Someone could be inside of a building. We don't want them to walk outside while, heaven forbid, it's happening, or the police are out there investigating, or if we're searching for someone. Okay. If in fact there's a bad traffic accident, and this has happened as well, pedestrian safety is another concern that's on our mind. We want to make members aware that there's a bad accident, traffic is backed up, you avoid the area while the police investigate. Okay, so the Yale alerts are intended to make our community members aware of what's happening immediately. The timely warnings are crime related. It doesn't have to happen. The email doesn't have to be sent right then and there, but we have to make the community members aware that, this happened. Here's some steps you can take keep yourself safe. Now, in terms of subscribing or unsubscribing to it, you know, this information is important for community members to have, and you are automatically enrolled in it. And I would hate for someone to not be enrolled in it and then not have that information that we're sending out. It is extremely important that you have it. I have heard from some community members that it raises their level of anxiety. I have to say, these aren't things that the Yale Public Safety or the Yale Police or Yale University does in a vacuum. These are required. These are federally mandated ways of communicating with our community. George, you have anything to add to that?
The only thing that I would add, Chief, is that the required piece to that is really the Yale email. So if you want to take your cell phone off, your personal cell phone, you're certainly welcome to do so. However, I would tell you, from a Yale alert, we try to get those messages out within minutes of the incident. And I don't think most people are tied to their email that closely. However, texts, they would get very quickly. So from a safety point of view, like Chief said, it's highly recommended that you maintain both.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the questions, and I guess we have only 5 minutes left, but one of the question relates to safety in parking lots, especially at night, and that also relates to another concern about lighting, which is not good in certain places. Are there, for example, cameras monitoring the areas, the surrounding areas of let's say parking lots? Because one of the concerns that were raised is this fear of like walking, let's say, towards the parking lot, and I guess at night or once the postdoc arrives early in the morning when the location is deserted, so there are no many people walking around. Are there like systems watching that area to provide safety, for example?
So there's over 3,000 cameras at Yale University. The overwhelming majority of those cameras are outside. So I can't really say right now specifically which cameras are focused solely on a parking lot, but there are cameras. I mean, in the views, we work really hard at ensuring that we're maximizing the use of the camera view. There are relatively very few incidents that happen in Yale lots. However, we recognize that when members of our community are coming to campus in the morning for work and leaving in the afternoon, that sometimes they can feel as if, you know, they're alone or it doesn't feel safe to them. And what we've done is impressed upon our officers, both our police officers and security officers, that is an extremely important time to be out and be visible so that people could feel safe and they can be looking out for them while they're out there on their patrols. So, you know, each police officer and security officer has a specific area that they're assigned to. And within their area, they may have parking lots or garages. They're responsible for that area. And security officers, many of Danny's and Dwayne's team, when they're out at night on their posts, they're doing lighting surveys and reporting lights that may be out. But what we've also heard from community members, and this is a good thing, is areas where they feel there could be more lighting. And we've worked closely with facilities to add lighting. So this is an ongoing endeavor, especially in the spring and in the summer when the leaves come back on trees and things have grown and they may be blocking views. That's a really important time. I mean, we recently had to we had to do some work in trimming back some trees because they just had grown to the point where they're blocking views. Those are things that we need to constantly stay up on. But if like Danny said, if anyone ever feels unsafe, please contact Yale security if they like an escort. And at the same time, if you're not seeing us out there, I'm not hard to reach. Captain Narcisse is not hard to reach. Let us know. We want to hear from you. And part of participating in forums like this, in hearing these concerns, I didn't invite my team to just take different parts of this presentation, because I want them to hear the questions so that we can bring back to our staff what the questions are, make certain that we're being responsive to them, and have that information cascade down throughout the 4 different verticals, so that we have this whole of community approach in trying to be responsive to the questions and the concerns that community members may have.
So I guess those were one of the main questions that our members shared with us. I would like to thank you all for spending the time here with us, sharing all the services and also the attributions that the Yale Police has. It was extremely helpful, and we will make sure that all the points that you shared here will be passed on to our members via our communication channels like social media, newsletter, and direct emails as well.
Anderson, I want to thank you for convening us all, and hopefully we can do this again maybe in the fall. Again, we appreciate you getting everybody together to hear from us. Perhaps in the fall we can provide this group with another update, and again be responsive to any questions members may have. But I'm glad that we were helpful to you. This is helpful to us as well. We appreciate being here for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and we will definitely keep in touch.
Okay.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. Have a
Thank you.
good day.
All right.
Thank you.